you're at a school system where we're constantly deploying things, coming in and out, and updates of that nature, it's a good idea. The second thing would be at the end of your workday, if you just go over and close your lid, it doesn't reboot your computer. And the common thing, especially with Microsoft Outlook, that's our email program, is there'll be updates pending and things suddenly stop working the way they're supposed to because it was expecting you to have the computer rebooted. If you go to your little start menu and you click this little power button, your goal is to either hit shut down or restart. At the end of the day, it's shut down. Closing the lid won't do what we're looking for. And this is once again something that's not exclusive to an OS, but it sure as heck will help, especially at school, because every week on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday, our IT team is always pushing out updates. One of those days is a Windows, one of those is a Mac, and one of those is a third party for things like Adobe or Google or specialty things. So if you're in the habit of that on your next workday, it's already taken care of. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. I realize you guys all got an out-of-the-box laptop, and even if you don't have an out-of-the-box laptop, getting a few of these things down will help you out. So the very first thing we're talking about is default programs. You might get something on an email and you open it up and it's in a weird window. It's very common with PDF documents. Or you might want to be able to click a link and it opens up the browser of your choice. Or you have a certain type of audio video thing. For example, you might like to use iTunes as your music, or you might like to use VLC player. So what we're going to do together as a group today to start out and get ourselves just a little bit, our feet wet with this, is I want you to go down to this bottom left-hand side, a little search icon. There are two ways you can access this. And in what I teach you today, many things can be accessed in multiple ways. To start out nice and easy, you're going to do a nice, simple, gentle click, where it'll say type to search here. And what I want you to do is just literally type in the word default. And then the second word would be app, although you should probably already see it after it says default app settings. Click that very first button. If you get stuck and your partner can't help, I have 2 techs and 2 instructional people. They'll be making their way around the room. Here is where you can actually control your basic default programs. Now the one that says email, this is actually your goal to make it Outlook. So if it's not, if you click just simply by clicking it, or a double click, you should see different applications. And your one you want to switch it to is Outlook. So that way, anytime you ever click an email link, where it's like setting to an email, it will actually open up your Outlook email so it's coming from your @osc.lk account. Okay? Nice simple thing. You all want to click Outlook 2016.
Or mail.
Mail you don't want to do because mail is the Microsoft built-in Outlook of theirs. It's not for the corporate channel. Okay. Music player is the next one up. Maps, if you downloaded Google Maps, you could make that your default, but right now it's just not on any of your guys' computers that I'm aware of. But the music player, I changed mine already to VLC. There are several things in here. There's Adobe Audition, which once again, you guys got a big Adobe package. I've not tried it, but I'm assuming it's great. The default is the Windows music player, which works good on certain things, but if you are downloading or making your own music, certain types of file formatting don't work well on it. So I advise you guys to take VLC player, or if you downloaded iTunes and you're comfortable with using that, by all means use that. Just because Windows doesn't mean iTunes doesn't work. Once again, guys, you don't have to click with your cursor. You can also just use your finger to your monitor if you have a touchscreen computer. The next one will be video player. This is for like movies, TVs that you guys are downloading. You got all kinds of shows on what you want to watch on that. Once again, VLC player is kind of my favorite. Windows Media Player's default. It's not the best, it's not the worst, it's pretty average in the market. I find iTunes to be very good for this one as well, for those of you who downloaded it. And if you don't do it now, you can always come back to this and do it later. The last one, and this is probably the most important of this page besides Outlook, is your web browser. So remember, anything we buy at the school, we test on Google Chrome. Internet Edge is an absolutely horrendous browser in my personal experience. I like Firefox, but not everything works at our school with Firefox. I like Opera. Once again, not everything works quite well with it. But Google's the one thing guaranteed, because if we buy something, we make sure it works at Google. So if you could change that to Google Chrome, if it's not, it will make your life a lot easier. Okay. Now, we're not going to go into this menu. These are automatically saving, but let's say you want to change your default PDFs or a JPEG image to open up to something specific, or a TXT file you want to open to something specific. This little choose default paths by file types, you can come back to it at any time. It's on your instructions on how to get here. We'll let you take literally every file extension and then choose whatever program you have downloaded associated with it. So if you have something that you really don't like running it in a particular application, or you want to load it in Google Chrome instead of IE, or you want to use a browser of your kind for something specific like an HTML file, you can do so in here. The most common thing would probably be PDF with Adobe after that. Okay, so that is it for our little absence. To exit out of it, we can just hit the little X button. The next thing I've seen from a bunch of people is they want to use this is called the Taskbar at the very bottom. And they like to have their pre-made programs ready to be clickable at any time of their choosing. For example, I like to have Outlook pinned to my Taskbar. But today I might want to have Microsoft Word right there, because you know what, I use Word a lot in my job. Any program that you open up that you want to make it permanently on your taskbar, you simply have to right-click on it and pin to the taskbar. It will stay there, so even when I exit out of this program, it's still there in its nice original icon. I'm going to give you guys 2 or 3 minutes because there's probably some programs that you want to stay there at all times. So this is a chance for you to do it while we're all here. We can help you out on it. So take 2 or 3 minutes. Think of things that you use a lot in your day. You're just tired of having to search for it or having to click on the desktop. This might be the time you want to add it.
To remove, I do the same. I go on the.
Yes,
Okay. Thank you.
Let's say you save that as a shortcut. You can then make it so that it opens up that by default. But that's something we can do a little bit towards the end. If we want to do that, we can make a specific window that, hey, manage back and only manage back opens up. It's better just using it as a bookmark.
Brad? Should we have, like, for example, like Google Chrome, you have it on
Word, Excel,
should we have it? Yeah, but should we have it twice? What's the use to have it at the bottom and on the window page?
So if you have Windows open, let's say you have Google Chrome open and you need to quickly open up Word, you can just click that button right there instead of having to go back to the desktop.
And then do I still need this here?
That's up to you. It's entirely up to you.
There's no use. If I have it, there's no use to have it. Okay.
Probably not, no. But there's some people who like it, so it's just optional.
Okay.
Okay, just out of curiosity, how many of you knew about that feature before today? You know how to do that? So then my goal is trying to get most of you to learn at least one thing is it's been achieved by half the room already. That's a good start. So what we're going to do to move on now is we're going to tweak Windows features just a bit from the default setup, and this is to get you ready for some of the more interesting things I'm going to show you in about 15 minutes. There's one thing with sharing I really like. It's very similar to something that's on Mac, where you can share from one computer to the next almost instantly. But to start out, I want you guys to go ahead and I want you to right-click on anywhere on this desktop.
Right-click?
Right-click. And then I want you to go to Personalize.
Sorry to be a numpty, how do I get to the desktop?
Right, you got it. Okay, you guys are gonna click themes. Themes. So once again, if you watch me in case you didn't see it, right click, personalize, and we're going to themes. This is purely cosmetic, but I do like to change the colors of mine, and so you guys should have the option as well. I am curious if this is going to work because this didn't show up for me until I started doing crazy things last night with the drivers. On themes, you'll see the word color. We can go ahead and we can hit the colors. This is the biggest training we've had in a long time. Come on in, have a seat. We have barstools here. You can quickly change your colors, but a little note of caution about your colors. Let's say you don't like using the blue, you're into darks or into lights of any kind, or just a gray scheme. This will automatically pick an accent color for my background. If you want to change it, you can deselect that, and it'll make it a little bit easier. For example, I've deselected it, now I've gone to an orange.
Can it go with your mood or what? On a daily basis, can you stick your finger?
That would be awesome. There are more additional options down here, for example, transparency effects. I really like that one. It just kind of comes up in certain areas a little bit different. You can see.
Those are for the filters.
You can choose to go light or dark, depending on your choosing. The kids kind of like to see that differences. And you can also control whether this is going to affect your taskbar or your title bars only of that nature. Go ahead and take a minute for this. Once again, this is purely cosmetic, but I do know some of you like to change from the default blue and do blue and want different colors, so it's an option for you. Ooh. If possible, stay on this window because we're going to stay in this little settings area for a little bit more to do a few other customizations. We can change background image. It's not done yet on group policy. The goal is essentially when you get these, we market them obviously for OSC, but I do realize I had a bunch of Mac users come from it who could change their own background, so I was going to make a policy where you guys can change your own in case you like doing a custom background on it. It should happen in the next 2 weeks. Remember, once again, when logging into Windows, connect to the Wi-Fi before you get in, so that way it takes effect when we do it instantly. Okay? You'll get an email separately on that one. So the next area I want you guys to go to,
I'm going to get out of there.
you should stay right back to in that area.
Say what? I didn't hear that.
Stay right where you're at, in the themes area. And on this left-hand side, you should see something called Taskbar. If you're not in that area, once again, where you're right-clicking and going to personalize. It'll bring up the settings of where we're at. So in here, our taskbar once again is this bottom bar. Very important bar that we have. We can use it to be able to do a few different little changes that you might like it or not. So use smaller taskbars. So if you're a person who uses a bunch of icons at the bottom, you might want to make it smaller so you can fit more.
I couldn't see it.
Notice the differences? If you can't see it, then obviously you want to stay with the bigger one.
Just in case.
Just in case. Sometimes bigger is better.
I can't see it.
Where?
Keep on scrolling down. You're going to see this use peek to preview the desktop when you move your mouse over. This is something you want to enable. It's something that will come into play later on as you get a little bit more advanced with Windows. You start doing some strange hover effects, or we start going to cascading or top-down bars. So it's just a little bit helpful. So go ahead and enable this. You won't see it change, but you do want to have it enabled. The last one is a personal preference, completely up to you, but I want you to be aware of it. Combine taskbar buttons. So right now, if I had 3 Google Chrome browsers opened up, I opened up one and then I ended up opening up, went to a website, and opened up another browser. Eventually, these would combine to my settings. Some people like to always have each and every single window they opened up as a separate thing. Some people want it to where it always combines into one. Some people want it where it'll only combine if this whole thing down here is filled. I want you to be aware of it because you might not know what you want at this point and it might take a little while and you might find it annoying. So I'm just outlining to do so. will be found under combined taskbar buttons. So right now, if I click always hide labels, notice all my Google Chromes are now into one little window. Okay. But if I ended up picking where it never hides, then no matter what, I'm just lining this left and right, up and down. And it just depends on how you are as a user. If you're a person with a bunch of windows open, you might want to combine it in school, or you might want to always combine it. And if you're pretty good about only having 1 or 2 windows open, you might want to never combine it. Personal choice, but one I just wanted you to be aware of. Okay. So you guys got all those. Let's go back to themes for one last little change. This is going to be a shortcut that will help you guys out whenever you're trying to put in flash drives and will instantly find the files, or a few other little things such as your recycling bin. So we're going to click themes again. And this time we're going to go to something called desktop related icons. It's on the far right hand side. This used to be a default in Windows and then they stopped. So you got these icons right here. By default, you should only have recycling bin. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's like a trash bin that you see in a Mac. If you delete a file, it goes in there. Go ahead and enable, and you want to check computer, user files, control panel, recycling bin. You can do network too if you'd like. But these will add icons to your desktop or quick little short navigation menus that you need.
Then you click OK.
Yep, click OK, and you will see they show up right here, and I got a few other ones around here. Brad Fisher, there. The one that's most important probably to you is the recycling bin. The next one is this PC. Simply opening that up takes you to your group menu where you can see all of your drives. If I had flash drives, they would come into here. And then of course you got your documents and your quick navigation. I'll take 1 minute before I start to move on to other fun stuff. If you can, have a few windows open up for the next part of our tutorial.
So whenever I work on the word,
We're about to
I make that
You ready?
makes sense. Like that as a default.
Did yours not take?
Can it be
How do you go back one level?
We wanted to update the driver. It's going to be like this. Okay, folks, so moving on. On a Windows computer, shortcuts are kind of key on how you maneuver through things. For example, I got a bunch of windows open up right now, and I quickly want to move through with what I'm doing. On some Macs, you'd be using swiping actions, but on a PC, it's using these shortcuts to do so. So if you have a bunch of windows open up currently, all I want you to do is on your little important shortcuts, if you got it, and if you don't worry about it, I want you to go, we're just going to practice a few simple shortcuts, okay? For example, I want you to open up at the moment any single program you have. So I got CNN open up right now. Oh, that's lovely. And I'm going to hit the Windows key, and at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and hit the D key. So the Windows key is this little button right here on the keyboard. It's a Windows logo. The D key is the letter D. Hit it both at the same time, so I'm literally Windows down, D. Up to the desktop I go. Windows D, back to whatever program I was using. The kids will use this whenever you're walking by in a computer lab. They see you're coming close. They'll quickly flip their window to get off it, and then flip it to get back.
So they use Windows D.
Windows D, that's the quickest way to do it.
Oh, yes.
Where does it go?
No, to the next
Okay, the next one. This is going to take us to something called Taskbar, but what it means is essentially any of your open programs you can see on whatever desktop you currently have selected. In a Mac, they have multiple desktop screens. In a Windows, they have the same thing, but it's not as used as what it is in a Mac. I've seen Mac users who use it like crazy. I don't see my Windows users using it as much. So one of the ways to get there and also control whatever I have open would be by going to the Windows key tab. You'll notice this new desktop icon right here. And what this is doing is it's showing me a hierarchical view of things I've viewed at any point.
On the left side.
It's very similar to looking at an iPad and seeing what windows I had opened up on my iPhone X. Once again, that's the Windows key tab, and it's showing me whatever I have opened up. There is also a new desktop link I would instantly see.
Isn't that cool?
That's one way to open up a second desktop. There's other ways, but this is one way to do it.
That's just for Brad. Brad,
Yeah.
for any Mac users who use hot corners, anyone use hot corners?
No.
Okay.
Hot corner is this thing where it's going different
Hot
screens
corners when you swipe up to the left, or you swipe up to the right, it goes.
to whatever screen on it.
Yeah.
I've not practiced that with
I've got a
this.
third party thing that works just the same. But if you don't use it, don't use that.
Okay. Settings. Another easy one. Windows key I.
Does what?
Windows key I. I as in. Windows settings. So you can search for Windows settings, but it doesn't always come up depending on what you want or the exact thing. So just an easy way to get into it is the Windows key I. What's most important to you as teachers, we do have the Epson app for your Epson projectors, but let's say you're going to go to the SNPR, or you're going to go down to the boardroom. Those television sets support wireless mirroring. You take your laptop down, you don't need to have any single keys with it, and they work really, really good on these computers. By hitting the Windows key P, you can project to any wireless television set or projector, and then you just click this little connect to a wireless display, and it will search for any wireless display out there. For some things, you need to be on the same network, so you might have that for the TV hooked up before. It's on the same exact thing as you are, but you probably don't have 2-3 networks at home with the same part. I can tell you with my LG at home, I have a 65-incher, and I actually use Netflix this way almost the entire time. I rarely have to ever hook it in manually anymore. It's pretty exact on it, especially with these newer laptops you got. So Windows key P, and of course you got your duplicate, extend, and second screen only, which allows you to move it if you have 2 monitors hooked up or anything of that nature. Okay, so keep on going. Let's say I got a window open up. I'm in full screen right now. Go ahead and open up a window in full screen for me. Just have one window opened up, full screen. We're going to hit the window key, and you know what I want to do is I want to basically put it on half the screen. So if I was working on something else, I can do a side-by-side without screwing up the windows. This is one of the most helpful things of today. There's 2 different ways to do this. So the first way is I'm going to hit the Windows key, and I'm just going to hit the left arrow key. And I can actually now pick, because it's going to look at my other windows, so what I want to look at. I can type on this one, go back to this one, and it's not removing the windows. Once again, let's practice it again for those of you who aren't sure. Starting out with full screen, Windows key, and this time I'm going to hit the right arrow. And I can pick whatever I have opened up. Or maybe I'm going to do a Windows key in the top arrow.
How much can you put on there?
A lot. There's another way to do this. Beyond just a standard Windows key, I got my screen at full screen right now. If I take my cursor, so I'm going to hold this down, I'm going to literally click this title bar, I'm going to hold it down, and I'm dragging it all the way to the edge of the page where my cursor is literally kissing the very edge of my screen. I'm going to start to see this little kind of half invisible screen showing up.
Oh, yeah.
You can probably see it online, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, it's gone. Here we go, making it happen. Boom. There it is. So there's 2 different ways I can do that. If I really, really wanted to, I could also right-click on the taskbar down below. And I can actually show my windows stacked or side-by-side. This is side-by-side, but I want to make them stacked now. So I can actually make them so that they are completely and totally Just for your own information, you have these different options. Curious, how many people knew about this feature? Because this was a big one to me. Whenever I learned about it first, I was teaching 6th graders, and they had just deployed it on the brand new Windows 7 at the time, and I thought it was the most fascinating thing in the world on it. It's not very common to me, but I do know a lot of people don't know about that. On the important shortcuts email you got, you have your simple things such as copy and paste. You have highlight all, and I don't really want to talk about any of those. The very last thing is to create a new virtual desktop. This is common to my Mac users. It's something, a feature I'm not that familiar with because I am primarily using PCs, and I know this is something really Mac users use extensively, whereas PC users don't seem to use it in the same aspect. But if you hit the Windows key, Control, and D, you can open up a separate virtual desktop. To close it, you would use Windows key, Control, and F4.
Can I ask,
Yep.
how did you use it?
What's up?
I haven't used the second one, but how do you know that you are in a different one?
Well, that's a very good question. So Windows key, Control, F4, I close it. Look at this first one. Now, how many of you are having trouble with that F4 button? If you are, hold your FN key, and you see where your escape is? You can lock your FN key so you don't have to start hitting that FN key whenever you want to use an F key. You just hold the FN, hit escape, you should see a nice little light on your keyboard. So that way in the future when you use any of those FN keys, you just click it and it'll work.
Brad, on that,
Yeah,
I found at night watching this is really cool.
It depends on what you want to do. But these in the keyboard, you don't have this.
The light knows
Okay, so now. Exactly, now do it.
Windows key control left and right. If you're talking about Windows, it's like
You see? Now I see how it works.
left and
If I
right.
click do this,
Someone did ask me, what is the
now I
difference
have a
between the
new
two?
desktop. I don't know what for, but
Well, if I end up doing this correctly on it,
I don't know what for.
Windows key control and then left or right should take you, but it's not for me, so that sucks. On the first screen, you see how I have all these icons? Whenever I create a new desktop, these icons are still there, but it's going physically to like another desktop. So they're here, so when I go ahead and click, and I create a new desktop, they're gone. But whenever I close that desktop, they're back. Okay. I was just asked a question about I'm at home and my screen is too bright. Currently, the brightness is not working on these brand new laptops. It's nothing to do with the laptops. It's nothing to do with the OS. We have a software called Imperial. We put it on everything by default. And they came out with something literally a week before school starts. There's a bug in the system. I fixed it last night on my personal home and trying. I'm hoping to deploy it next week so you guys don't have it anymore, so you can control the brightness levels of 100% or 50% at home, and it also extends battery life. That'll automatically happen. You'll just be able to adjust it on one day, okay? Currently, if I went to my screen brightness where my battery's at, and I wanted to adjust my brightness, see how it's disabled? Yeah, so next week, whenever you come in, I'm hoping on Monday, after it deploys, it might take one reboot. But on your next start shutdown, on your next work day, you should be able to control it again. I have it zeroed in, they gave me a solution, I tried it today, it didn't work, but I know what the issue is with this one. Okay?
So currently is this the zero brightness?
That's 100% brightness.
This is 100%,
Yeah.
even though it says it's zero.
There is a feature that can let you use nighttime mode.
Yes.
If you go to display, so if you go into your personalized and you hit display, that's up in that area, it's in your settings area. If you go into control or Windows I and you go to your display and settings, you can actually control the nighttime on it. It gives it just kind of more subtle things. Same as an iPhone, how they have that new nighttime thing in the new iOS 9 or current series versions. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's talk about some more really exciting features. So, you guys currently have on the right hand side, you see this little no notifications area? Click it. Now yours might not look like mine. You're probably, when you first click it, you'll probably see it like this.
Yeah.
So like this.
Yeah.
There's a little expand button. Hit the expand. Now the one I'm going to focus on right now is nearby sharing. So if I had a document, I'm going to deselect this for a second. But if I turn it on, I want you guys to turn on your nearby sharing. Just click the button. It'll change it to a different queue. I can share documents I have with people right around me, as long as they have that selected as well. By simply clicking on a document, right-clicking I should say on a document, and clicking the share button. When I click the share button, it'll actually figure out all the devices nearby me that I want to share to. There's a lot of devices in here. So if I click right now, who's teacher P37? Who's in room P37? P37? So I'm going to click NIFLA. It's going to be one of you two. And it's going to ask you guys to accept what I'm sending you. So look at your screen. Whose is it? NIFLA? So NIFLA's going to go here and she's going to say, okay, I can either save and open it or I can open it. But you got to be fast about that, NIFLA. You wait too long, it won't happen. Try it again, okay? Resharing this. Don't know who I'm going to pick. I've right-clicked. Jim02, who's that? Mikael, you see something popping up on your screen?
Looking.
That's me.
Steve.
Okay.
Steve. Steve popping up, are you going to save?
Save it, I couldn't
There
save
you go, go ahead and save it open and it'll pop up on your screen. Wait too long, you'll lose it though. Okay, it says I've shared successfully, so Steve's now on my ICM scavenger hunt from the HOD meeting. Yep. This is an easy way, instead of having to do the emails sent back and forth or Google Doc, you just got a doc, you're working with someone right by you, you just need them to have it, to keep it. Exactly, this is the Windows version.
This is
There
very
is a sharing where both of you can work at the same time?
No. This is literally, I am giving you my file instead of having to take a nice little thumb drive and giving it to you.
Like the airdrop?
Exactly like that. Okay?
Excuse me, Brad?
Yep.
Does the document have to be on your desktop?
No. As long as you can find your document anywhere you're thinking, right click on
Even
it.
if it's on a OneDrive folder?
Yes. Should be able to.
So I can keep that on all the time.
Yeah. No reason not to. Okay, the next thing.
It's a OneDrive.
A Wi-Fi spot is a great thing to have if you're ever on a computer and you've got a person who needs to get internet and you can't give them passwords or things of that nature. So on that little area that we were just at, this is kind of a two-part solution. You should see what looks like, it's right under it, it's called Mobile Hotspot. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to enable it right now, but I'm not done yet. Because if someone tried to connect to mine right now and they have a phone out, they would see, I'm on my iPhone, I'm going to go quickly look at it. I will see something show up under my Wi-Fi that says my computer name, which is OSCTLW. Whoa, wow, you guys are sharing right now. And then there I am, SEC02. It's one way I can do it, but the problem is if I try to connect it, it would ask for a password. People are like, what's the password? I don't know. You have to set the password as a one-time thing. So to do this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to our network settings. You'll see right here all settings. Once again, another way to get to your settings menu. So after I've clicked this to enable, and if you haven't, there's another way you can do it, no issues. I'm going to click my all settings. And then when I click my all settings, I'm going to go to network and internet. It's this big tab on the right hand side. For those of you who didn't see, once again, network and settings. Then I'm kind of scrolling down. By the way, airplane mode in case you're on an airplane. You might need to know that. But more importantly, mobile hotspot. You see how it has right here, by default, you have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. And then you have this nice network password. The reason we're able to do this is I bought these really high-end wireless cards. There are 2 of them in them. So we can actually broadcast our Wi-Fi. Obviously, this is a crazy password to remember, but this would be it. You can edit and change the password to whatever you like. And so if you're at home or you're somewhere else and someone needs to get on internet, you should be able to change this to an 8-character password. And then they will be able to connect using your internet as a way to get through. If you ever technically needed to get a student on and their internet's not working, this is potentially a method to try. But it's more important if you guys are at public hotspots and they only let you, for example, I go to airports and they'll let you only use one internet connection. It drives me insane. So I use my laptop, and then whoever's around me, including my phones, is all going to get on it for as long as they give me my metered laptop. And then when they finally shut me off that, then it's time for my phone, and then I'll do my hotspot with my phone, and kind of work my way around. So even if they have an hour limit, and I'm there for 4 hours between the devices, everybody's getting on for all 4 hours. Nifty little thing. Did anybody know about that feature? No. You guys can say on this training seminar, you guys actually got a lot. Okay, so I don't know how many of you guys know this, but these puppies do flip. The reason I got these is because each and every year I've got teachers asking for iPads. You will notice there's a camera here, but there's a second camera here. So if I wanted to actually watch what I'm doing with the kid, I can see on my screen as the camera's running in real time. This is something specifically I got for primary teachers who use these type of things extensively, and every year they're asking for cameras or iPads. It's a pretty good camera too. I've tried it out on a bunch of times. I want you to be aware of that. So if you don't have a touch screen, still pay attention to this because most likely you'll have this type of computer next year. It's going to always ask you, do you want to switch to tablet mode?
You have to look at your
Tablet mode is great if you're only on tablet. It's not great if you're doing the traditional laptop. If you're on tablet, it's supposed to act like an
always
iPad.
do search and look for camera.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to look for something called Windows Workspace or Windows Workspace.
And look for camera.
Do you guys have what looks like a strange little icon by your clock?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be like a pen. If you don't, you right click on your taskbar, you just click this little Windows, show Windows ink. You basically want a check mark. If you got a check mark, you're good. If you don't have a check mark, so just by clicking so you can get it.
Get that.
The end goal is right around your clock, and if I put my cursor over, I can see Windows ink workspace. Yeah. Nope, no issue at all. Yes, it's still good. Okay guys, so a few different things. I'm on the CNN website right now, and I got my Windows Workspace opened up. And you know what? I need to remember to save this because it's really important. If I click the thing that says screenshot, I suddenly screenshot it. Now, maybe I want to edit it a little bit. In my computer, on the right-hand side, think of the ThinkPad logo, you will see something red looking. This charges this, so this is important. Try to use your fingernails to pull out the red looking thing. And you have yourself a shiny new stylus. It does not just work on these, it's also great for iPads. Okay? This stylus, I got our people in here, don't I? I got one. This stylus is sensitive to the point where if I use advanced software, let's say I'm using Adobe Illustrator, it'll actually pick up the sensitivity. If I'm doing it hard, the ink will get thicker. If I'm doing it soft, it will get skinnier. Any Adobe product or any of the big products out there will support that type feature. Simple things like Paint won't, but for you, Devika, specifically on all your Adobe software, it will work in that way. So right now, I'm just going to quickly use my touch screen and I can start highlighting things that I want my kids to see. Highlight this because this is really important for them to see. I got a ruler. So I need to go ahead and draw this. Move this down. I can actually have it. Hit my ruler back again. I can undo. And the most important thing is I can copy, email, save, or trash it if I don't like it. The screenshot feature is really important because there are many times where you see something on the internet, it won't let you save it or you can't get it, but you need it.
How did you get that? Sorry.
Oh, so this is it? Okay, so right here, Windows ink, and then I'm going to do screen sketch. And then you're drawing your artist out. Okay, right here, screenshot. Now I can mess with this. Right up here. Whoa, This is one of the reasons. I guys told you at the beginning of the year where I saw the educational market going. The big reason why is because iPads were literally destroying Windows laptops and also Macs to some extent because people were using them, they couldn't do everything on it. So the big industrial revolution to try to fix that was these type artistic or interactive ideas. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep going. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of my screen sketch.
Wait. How do you send the screen sketch? Like, I can see that
There's a share button.
There's a share button.
Teaching function. And
Right here.
There's a share button.
See this button right here?
Here.
It's this little corner thing. You can actually send it instantly if you're sharing it to a computer near you. Yeah. Alternatively, you can also just save it or copy it and then do the traditional email way. Okay? Okay?
Yes.
Alright, so moving on. There's still a lot more to do in our last 10 minutes, and I wonder if you guys get through everything. Sticky notes is something that's been in Windows for a while, but I don't know how many of you like old classic stickies. I like to myself reminders. So like right now, on my personal laptop, I have like 15 fix this person's schedule, do this with PYP, move classes. Sticky notes will just let you write something important, and you can click off it at any time. Or you can save it, change the colors, add more, delete. When done, you just hit the exit button, and it will stay. Once again, for those who didn't see that, I'm making a sticky note, just like a paper sticky note. I click there. My plus button will let me add more sticky notes. Yeah, pizza tonight, don't stay too long at the place.
How do you change the color?
So we were here.
Very good question, Loretta. The 3 dots right here will let me change my colors.
Yeah.
Insight you can kind of ignore. Each sticky can be its own color. When you're done, hit the plus button. Your stickies will stay there. You can just kind of minimize it and forget about it. Open it back up later. Some people like to use personal account passwords on it. Just be a little careful about that. Although I'll admit fully on my own Alienware at home, I have a few things that are like, hey, this is my password to my banks or whatnot. The way they're stored, they're pretty safe on that part unless the person goes by screen. The third area. This is one of 2 ways we're going to do this, and we're getting close to the end for today. Is something called Sketchpad. This is great for the little ones especially. This is your drawing app. One of many drawing apps. So I'm going to go ahead right here, and it looks like I'm going to be doing some nice little coloring on mine, increasing the size.
Another tool for coloring.
Yeah, a lot of these are Debica things. I'm going to draw my thing there.
Coloring.
There's no results found.
No sketch to draw again.
Everybody should have a sketch pad on the center one.
Didn't see.
What is Marabi doing?
Anyone else have any styles?
The drop down menu does control the difference.
How do you clear it or get a new
So
one?
this This is a basic one where it's not looking at your touch screen of the thing. Adobe Illustrator is what you do for that.
Oh, that's yeah.
Obviously, if you got little kids at home and you just want them, hey, I want to draw daddy or mommy, I don't have any crayons, markers, this is something great that you can just quickly.
Personalize.
Personalized?
Yeah, you have to go to personalize.
How do you change the color of the pen?
The pen, color. So on this little drop down menu, Loretta, see the little arrow?
Oh.
You can choose any color you need. If you don't want to use the default picture, you just hit the delete icon. It'll get you to a nice blank one. So right now, you know, I could be taking meeting notes if I wanted to here. I could be drawing a picture, anything of that nature that I would end up doing. It is, of course, better if you're doing it in the tablet mode versus the standing mode. Please try to remember that. The tablet mode works better on this than the standing mode when you're drawing and you're getting artistic. Because this is obviously shaking a little bit, so when you're there, it's fine printed, it's easier, it's not going to be bouncing up and down.
Of course.
How do you get the blank screen on?
The delete icon right here, Loretta. See it, hit the delete, and you start it. That's the default little intro.
Yes. No, just before sticky note.
Okay, if I can get you guys all to exit out of that.
It's really the same. I sticky note and sketch.
I know, that one's fun. There is one last thing I want to talk to you about, and this is a Microsoft product, but it is for the version of note-taking. So some people like to do notes the traditional way of typing. Some people, they might just be working collaboratively and they just want to handwrite because, hey, you might actually remember stuff easier than you do if you type it, however your brain works, by handwriting. There are some studies that prove that if you do it by handwriting, you'll be able to remember it easier. So we have something called Microsoft OneNote. Should have it on your screen. If you type in OneNote on your search, alternatively, you can hit the Windows key S to be able to search if you're looking for a nice little shortcut. OneNote is your note-taking software for all that is good in life. So I did something from something. I don't know. I have the most horrible handwriting known to mankind. But in OneNote, you can you.
Can I say something? Yes, so does that do their personal project with me? They use OneNote for their personal project notes and journal.
So I've opened up OneNote, and I got into shape, for example, so I can draw a circle, and it instantly fixes my circle. I can try to draw a square, it'll fix my square. It will end up letting me move objects around. Highlighters, pens, the whole 9 yards, and you can add unlimited pages. It's just a great tool to use if you've got little meetings to deal with people, you don't want to be typing, you just kind of want to draw or sketch around. For example, you're trying to come up with a design of something. Well, obviously, trying to use a traditional computer way may not be great. So this might be a great thing to use in that engineering diagramming. Not for every subject or not for every need, but I'm sure for enough of you, OneNote is a place that you can come to use. So we are about to hit the end of today on it. I just wanted to show you guys some of the basic things of where these laptops are at, get you a little bit more used to it. Is there any specific questions before we close today's training seminar and then we get ready for that wonderful school board meeting later tonight?
But I noticed, I don't know if you read some of it is facial recognition logging in.
Yes, but we have to get Windows a little bit to work yet. We haven't figured that out on our network yet.
And
It is supposed to let you actually just look at the computer, it recognizes your face, same as the iPhone X does, where it looks at your screen and then it lets you in. Or you can use a 4-digit PIN that lets you into everything of yours instead of using a long, lengthy password. It's all encrypted on it, so I'm fine as far as password policies. And unlike our password policy, that would actually stick because your face ain't changing anytime soon. So if you look at the screen, you're in, instead of having to remember your password over and over again. It's one thing coming out, we have not configured it on our network yet. So it's going to take a little bit longer on ours because it's a brand new policy to us. Anything else that's troubling you guys as far as Windows early on?
I just want to be straight with you. I'm having a really difficult time transferring my files from that to this.
If you put in a ticket, we'll do it for you, get you on there. That's not something I'm advertising like the old school, hey everybody, if you're selling a laptop, put in a ticket for Ruin, we'll do it. But if you're struggling, like Marlene, she ended up having an external drive. We formatted it for her, got her stuff over to it, and on the drive that we formatted it works on both the Windows and Mac. So if you're having issues, put in a ticket, we'll work with you to get everything on there, okay? As far as these go, especially for the Mac users, I do appreciate you guys being open-minded. I know some of you, this was like the least of all the changes I'm doing. Give it a few weeks, practice the hotkeys, and you'll get much faster at it as you go. The touchscreen capabilities are specific to the educational environment. You'll see it the more you use it, no different than smartboards, the more you're probably going to like it. It's not going to replace your Mac at home, I get that. But it will make you better at your job at school for certain things you do. Outside of that, we're done for the day. Thank you very much for coming. Next week, we've got a training seminar. MJ, what's next week? Oh, Reggae, you know what's next week?
Ah, yeah, with the